Hi guys, and welcome to my first book review of 2021. The first book I read this year is this one, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Suzanne Collins is the author of the Hunger Games trilogy, which I'm sure if you haven't read it, you've definitely seen the movies. It was such a good trilogy. I remember I was working in China at the time. It was my first time working abroad, and I read all three books in about 3 weeks. This one I also read very quickly. I think I read it in 2 weeks whilst working a full-time job and all of that malarkey. And I really enjoyed it. My partner's recently finished it and he said it wasn't gripping, but then as soon as he's finished reading it, he says it keeps entering his head, which we'll discuss in a little while. First of all, I'll read you guys the blurb of what the book is about. I pre-apologize, I cannot pronounce Snow's first name, so I'm sorry. It is the morning of the reaping that will kick off the 10th annual Hunger Games. In the capital, 18-year-old Coriolanus Snow is preparing for his one shot at glory as a mentor in the games. The once mighty House of Snow has fallen on hard times, its fate hanging on the slender chance that Coriolanus will be able to out-charm, outwit, and outmaneuver his fellow students to mentor the winning tribute. The odds are against him. He's been given the humiliating assignment of mentoring the female tribute from District 12, the lowest of the low. Their fates are now completely intertwined. Every choice Coriolanus makes could lead to favour or failure, triumph or ruin. Inside the arena, it will be a fight to the death. Outside the arena, Coriolanus starts to feel for his doomed tribute and must weigh his need to follow the rules against his desire to survive, no matter what it takes. So this book is a prequel to the Hunger Games, and it's the story of President Snow when he was 18. At this time, they were only on to the 10th Hunger Games, and they were a lot different to the Hunger Games that we witnessed in the Hunger Games trilogy. For my review, I'm going to split it into 2 parts. The first half, I will try to not use any spoilers, and the second half, I may give a few spoilers away. I will warn you, if you haven't read this book, when I will be starting to possibly have some spoilers. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. My partner read it recently and he couldn't get into it, but then as soon as he finished reading it, he said it kept coming back to him and he kept thinking about the world that Suzanne Collins had created. When I was reading it, I loved it, I was really into it, and if I'm honest, it gave me nightmares. I dreamt about this world. It was so vivid and so believable that it haunted my dreams. I think the one thing that made this book difficult for my partner is that there is no sort of cliffhanger to it. You know that Snow is going to be president, so ultimately you kind of know an end, but I would argue you don't know how he got there, which is what the story is about. For me, I thought it was quite gripping, and I thought every chapter ended with something that needed answered. It always ended with a question, and you had to keep reading to obviously find out what would happen. Matt will disagree with me, but I liked it. Now we're going to go on to where there could be some spoilers, so if you haven't read this book, switch off now and skip to the end. Spoiler time. I loved how the hanging tree came back in this book and how it teaches you the origin of where that song came from, and also why it must have been really disturbing for Snow when Katniss Everdeen ended up with that song being her sort of soundtrack. It must have been really unnerving. I suppose her determination was quite similar to Lucy Gray's, which again could have been difficult for Snow when he was watching her in the Hunger Games. Another thing I really enjoyed was Tigress. I had no idea in the Hunger Games that Tigress was Snow's cousin. So the fact that she is his cousin, obviously grew up with him, the way that she helps Katniss Everdeen to hide in the final Hunger Games before she gets to President Snow, she really shows a character arc for her. Like, she has gone against her family by hiding Katniss Everdeen, which is really interesting and I find really suiting for the world that Suzanne Collins created. It's a very bleak, very honest, and in my opinion, very real world. Everything that the characters do, you can see why. And even if you don't agree with it, you can see how it happened and how they came to that conclusion, even for something as horrible as the Hunger Games. Which, by the way, there's no excuse for. You should never create something like the Hunger Games in real life. That would be bad. But if there was, this book explains why it would happen and the kind of people and their mentality that makes them think it's okay. It also shows human nature and how you can manipulate what a general populace thinks, which is all the Hunger Games really is. They manipulate the capital to think in these games are something less gruesome than they are. And then they tell the districts that it is punishment for war that ended long ago. But ultimately, a lot of people know it's wrong, and then other people see it as a way to gamble. They don't know these people, they don't register with them. They are taught that people from the districts aren't really people, almost like they have no feelings. All in all, I would recommend this book to read. I have 50-50 chance of enjoying it. I really enjoyed this book. Matt found it good, but not gripping. But then after he's read it, he now keeps thinking about it. So I would give it 8 out of 10 stars. And thank you guys so much for watching my first book review. If you like what you see, please subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr. I post general bookish pictures, as well as my writing tips, unboxings, and reviews on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!